Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing really well. I have rotated my backdrop a little bit, mainly because I want this elephant in the shot, because he's great and he looks after my wedding rings every night. There are very few people I would trust with that responsibility. Today is going to be just a little run through of the jobs that you can find as a pro musician. If that is something that you're looking into, maybe you're in school at the moment and you're kind of looking towards where you want to study and where you want your career to go and all that kind of stuff, but you're not sure what exactly it is you want to do, and you're kind of like, well, I really love playing, but what can I actually do with that? Then I hope this will be really helpful. And if you are new here, then my name is Heather and I'm a professional viola player living and working in the UK. I just make videos all about freelance life, musician life, and all the kind of generally the good, a little bit of the bad and the ugly, but generally the good. I started this channel because I kind of saw a bit of a hole in the information being given out to young musicians and just a little bit of a lack of encouragement, because I think there can be a lot of doom and gloom in this industry and this career, and that makes no sense to me because I think it's the best job in the world. I wouldn't do it if I didn't. So yes, like and subscribe if that sounds like fun to you. I always get so awkward asking people to like and subscribe. I don't know, it all just, like, my worst nightmare job is being in sales. Like, I don't know, it just makes me cringe. Like, fair play to the people that can do it and do it well, because it's such a skill, but for me, I'm just like, you can buy, like, you can if you want, but you don't have to, and honestly, I'd be the worst. Anywho, rambling. Now, this video is actually really well timed because I actually attended a webinar last night all about building up a portfolio career and all the different streams of revenue that you can get together as a musician. So Dave, if you're watching this, I promise I had this video idea before last night. I really promise. And I'm gonna try not to steal too much of his material by accident. I do want to say really quickly, a little bit of a disclaimer. I am gonna say things throughout this video such as, for this you need to have a performance degree, or for this ideally you need to have a degree in music, and there will always be exceptions to this rule. So there are certainly members of orchestras that don't have a performance degree. If you do know somebody who is like that, then that's amazing, but I'm going to be talking quite generally in this video, so yeah, just bear that in mind. There are always exceptions to any kind of standard or norm. There are always people that did stuff a different way, which I think is awesome, and that's definitely something that I'm gonna touch on in future videos. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I am gonna be talking about what you need for the different areas, generally speaking, rather than talking about specific people and how they did it. I hope that makes sense. Yes, this is all very general, but still useful, so keep watching. So the first work stream that I'm going to talk about is the one that I have focused on primarily, and it's freelancing with orchestras, etc. Now, this primarily looks as going in as a dep in various orchestras or going in as an extra. So when they're doing an orchestral work that needs bigger forces, they will call up their extras list, and that's how I get work typically. And to go down this route, you generally need a performance degree or a performance masters. There are a lot of people who do a more academic music degree at university, and then they go on to do a performance diploma of some kind. This is generally just because in order to succeed in this particular career stream, you do need to be a very solid player. Your playing is what is getting you hired. So generally speaking, they tend to favor people with performance degrees. So like I said, for this you need to have a high level of playing ability, particularly your sight reading. If your sight reading is something that you consider to be your weakness, work at it, because I very rarely get sent the music in advance. I know a lot of my friends and family who aren't musicians are always quite shocked when they're like, you didn't see it before the rehearsal on the day. I'm like, no. Like, we don't get sent this stuff. Sometimes you do, and that's really nice, but a lot of the time you will be sight reading. So if that is something that you're not comfortable doing, get comfy with it, because it's going to be a skill that will be absolutely essential. So the pros of this stream for me are lots of variety. You are rarely playing the same rep week in, week out. I've had it before where I've been playing Handel's Messiah on one day, and then the next day I've been doing a John Williams concert or a Bond music concert. You have to be very comfortable with a lot of different styles, but for me, that's one of the best bits about the job. There's lots of travel involved with this one as well, and for me this is an absolute pro and a con. I love traveling to new places, I love seeing new places, and that's absolutely great, but travel is tiring, and also it means that you're away from home. So if you're somebody who is an absolute homebody and you don't really like going to new places and you don't want to be leaving your family and all that kind of thing, then you may struggle with this being your career focus. You can absolutely get enough work in your local area, but just be aware that a lot of the time you are going to be traveling to different parts of the country and even different countries in general. So yeah, lots of travel, which is either really, really fun or really stressful, just depends on what you're like as a person. This is also an area that I think people can have very, very different experiences of, and in many ways you need a bit of a tough skin. As a freelancer, you will be doing a lot of auditions because you want to be getting on those extras lists, and ultimately, especially for me, the goal is to get a job with an orchestra and have that regular work. But for the moment, really enjoying freelancing, so happy for that to continue. But I do auditions whenever they come up, and auditions are brutal, okay? They're horrible. You have I mean, it can totally vary how many people are on the audition panel. Sometimes you're auditioning in front of the whole section and they're all just sat there in a big long row, and you walk in and it's all quiet and a bit awkward, and somebody will go hello, and you know, you're just like hi. They're just, you know, they're not fun experiences. They're really, really not. But they're necessary. So you need to be somebody that can cope with that kind of pressure. For me, that's my biggest area of weakness at the moment, is that my audition level of playing and my actual level of playing when I'm in the orchestra are not currently on the same scale. So yeah, for me, that's something that I'm currently working on, but just bear it in mind that you do need to have a little bit of a tough skin, because a lot of the time you might see an orchestra is doing a concert and maybe you work with them a lot on a regular basis, but you weren't asked to do that one. And you have to be very good at just going, that's fine, I won't take it personally, and not letting that get to you, because it can really, really stress you out if you're not careful. But yes, to end on a positive, I absolutely love it because I love the variety, I love the travel, I love working with different people, and I love the fact that it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me fresh because I have to be on top of all the different styles of playing, and especially, like I said, the sight reading and everything. So I find it really, really rewarding. But I know a lot of people, it's a very unstable kind of work stream, because one month you're crazy busy, next month you're not at all. So yeah, for some people the stress of that is just too much. So definitely have a little bit of a inner search and just figure out whether you'd be able to cope with that, because if you can, it's great fun. But if you can't, it's too stressful. So yeah, just weigh up the pros and cons, but for me, best job in the world. Another work stream is working in the West End pit bands. And so I'm kind of using the West End as a kind of theatre in general, because obviously not everybody lives in London, not everybody's working on the West End. This kind of work, especially in the major theatres, is one of the best paid work streams going for us as players. It's very regular work, but it's also very, very hard work. You're doing 8 shows a week. That is a lot of playing. So you need to be physically up to the task, and also you've got to bear in mind that it's a fairly unsociable job with the outside world. You are working when most people are off work. So again, it's just worth bearing in mind. And obviously that job also comes with touring responsibilities, which a lot of people do dep out quite a lot of their touring because, you know, they've been there, they've done that, and that's how you get your deps involved and all that kind of stuff. So there is the option to not do the tours, but it is still a facet of that work. Now, the West End is very notorious for being quite difficult to get into, because you don't generally find that shows will audition for particular spots. West End fixtures are all done on reputation, word of mouth, recommendations, getting in as a dep. So for those, you generally have to arrange a sit-in with a particular player, and then that can lead on to becoming a dep for them. And then once you've depped for them a few times, then that might lead on to getting onto a tour, and then you might find yourself landing a chair. So it's a whole different process with that one. And it's not something that I know a huge amount. It's something that I am currently learning a lot about, because it's something that I really, really want to look into later on down the line. So unsociable hours, which is a bit of a really good pay, good fun as well. I love being in a theatre band because it really bonds you together, because you've got to be such a tight-knit group of players to produce really, really tight performance. So yeah, the camaraderie of it is something that's really, really special. And then in terms of academic requirements, Similarly to freelancing, you'll find that most people will have a performance degree of some kind or a performance masters. And again, it's just that high level of playing ability, because you've got to hit this show to the best of your ability every single night. And like I said, 8 shows a week, that's tough work. So yeah, your playing ability needs to be really high. So the next one is chamber work. And this is something that if you super enjoy the kind of more promo side of music, so advertisements and getting all your posters right and getting your social media right and all that kind of stuff, then this can be a really good avenue to explore. Because chamber groups need to self-promote a lot of the time until you're lucky enough to get onto an agency, at which point they will do that for you. But until you get to that point, and it does take a while, you need to be really on the self-promotion. And a lot of the time it'll be one member that's really into that. So if that's something that you're quite passionate about, you may find that there are chamber groups that would love to have somebody like you involved. And it's hugely good fun. You're basically with your best mates when it works out really well, and it's such rewarding atmosphere to be playing it. But chamber groups can be tricky. The balance of personalities is such a delicate one that it's a really special thing when you can get a small group of people that just gel and work to that high level, because you're going to be traveling together, you're going to be working in very stressful environments together, you're going to be trying to create music to such a high standard, and you need to be able to take constructive criticism, and you also need to be able to give it in a constructive way. And it's also something that is really great if you want to put on your own concerts, because if you've got a group of say 4 people, you've got a string quartet, all of those people will have a network of people that they can invite, family, friends, colleagues, all of it. And so getting together an audience can be something that's fairly achievable. So like I said, if you enjoy that whole kind of organisation of the concerts and everything, then chamber music can be a really good avenue for you to utilise those skills and interests. You can also get quite a lot of work at weddings and events as a chamber ensemble, and I love playing at weddings because the music tends to be quite fun, it tends to be more kind of light-hearted stuff, and I really enjoy that avenue of work because it's fairly fun and it's well paid for the amount of time that you're there. So, and it's daytime work as well, which as musicians we're always like, yes, I can be home and in my pajamas by 6. Obviously weddings tend to be a little bit more seasonal work, but the money is really good. If you can get yourself a reputation as being a really good chamber ensemble in your area, you'll do well for weddings. YouTube, not a make money quick scheme. Let's be frank about that, because building up your subscribers on YouTube, it takes a huge amount of time. Take this channel for example, okay? We're teeny tiny. I started this a year ago, and at the moment I think I've got about 76 subscribers, something like that, which, you know, goes to show it takes a lot of time to build up those subscribers and to start making money from your channel. However, like I said earlier, I started this channel because I really saw a gap in the videos that were online, the information that was being given out, and I felt like I could fill that. And if you're watching this, then maybe you feel like I can too, so thank you. If you have a particular set of knowledge or a particular passion for a side of the industry that you feel is not being talked about, I absolutely encourage you to start making videos on that. Let me know what your channel is. I would love to support you, because to me, the classical side of music is woefully behind in the encouragement and the excitement around what we do and how we portray that on social media. It can all be kind of quite stuffy and just videos of concerts or just pictures of people wearing their all black outfits and looking very glamorous, and you know, that's a tiny percentage of what we do. So if you feel like you can add to that, then absolutely get on the social media and start sharing your experiences, sharing your voice. You will always find that there are people that relate to you and want to come along with you on your career journey. Now, to do this, you obviously do not need any degree at all, but I think it does give you a little bit of credibility. So for me, I always like to say I am a professional musician. That is my job. So I hope that that gives me a little bit of authority and a little bit of credibility when I'm talking about things relating to the music industry. So not necessary, but I think it does help for your audience to trust you. I wanted to put coaching in a slightly different category to teaching, because to me, Coaching means things like working on orchestral courses, theory courses, musical theatre courses, all of that kind of side of stuff, which generally tend to be in the school holidays, and you can get involved with your local county music service. They probably put on courses and stuff like that, and it'll be a little bit more intense work for a week or two, coaching various ensembles, maybe giving individuals lessons throughout that week, and all of that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more in front of a big group of people rather than one-on-one private teaching or classroom teaching. It's a different kind of skill and it's a different kind of enjoyment. So you may be somebody who you really enjoy that one-to-one teaching, but getting up in front of a group is like, no thank you. At which point I'd say coaching, probably not for you. But then you have other people who love that, being in front of a big orchestra or being in front of a big group of kids and getting them to do something a little bit crazy, getting them to write their own music, using pots and pans that they grabbed from the kitchen, you know, all that kind of stuff. If you're real kind of creative with a big group, coaching can be a really amazing way, again, to just stretch that skill and develop your career. It can also be quite a nice, I know that every year in July, I am in this place for 2 weeks and I'm going to get paid this amount. Do not underestimate the value of regular work streams, even if they're not regular week to week. I mean regular throughout the year work streams can make a massive difference if you are going down the freelance, the self-employed route. Having those little markers throughout the year can be absolute mental lifesavers. You know, I didn't really used to drink much coffee before I became a freelancer, so not sure what that says about me or the career. Okay, full disclosure, I completely knocked over my camera and the thing it sat on and everything, so my husband had to help build me like a little platform. And if the angle's completely changed, then I'm really sorry, but you know, we're really professional around here. Another work stream that a lot of people go down are cruise ships, and now there are big pros and big cons with this one. You get to see some incredible places. Like if you can get on a cruise ship that's going around the Mediterranean, then you get paid to go and see the Mediterranean, which, you know, right now sounds pretty dreamy. I've only ever actually done one cruise ship because it wasn't for me, which I'll get onto in a second. But we went up to Norway and we went down some of the fjords, and it was just you know, just things that you can't even comprehend in how beautiful they are. So yeah, that was definitely a trip that I will never ever forget. Absolutely stunning. The pay is really good, and the even better thing is that because you earn your pay whilst you're in international waters, it's tax-free. I do believe. I'm gonna double check that, and I'm gonna put it at the bottom here, but I believe it is tax-free, which means that you can save up that money really easily because you don't really have a lot of expenses other than any extra drinks and everything that you want to buy. There's nothing really to spend your money on. I've got friends that have gone away, worked on a cruise ship for a couple of years, saved up a really good house deposit, and then come back, bought a house, and jobs are good. So it can be a really good way of earning some money, seeing the world, and just kind of having that break from everyday life if that's something that you need and you need a little bit of a shake up and a bit of a change. The camaraderie on ships as well is something that is really cool. You do bond together really quickly because, you know, you are stuck on this ship together, so there's no one else you're gonna hang out with. But cruise ships, they party hard, so you can have a lot of fun, but it can also get a little bit much after a while. I definitely found that. If you're somebody that really enjoys a good old party, then a cruise ship may be right up your street. I do want to say off the back of that though, that it is really hard work. It can be really quite grueling because the cruise I went on, I think we were on there for about, it was like a week to 10 days, so it was like super short. But we had to perform a 45-minute set of different music every single day. And initially you're kind of like, oh yeah, that'd be fine. But it's a concert, you're not background music. People are just sitting there and watching you. So it needs to be concert level, 45 minutes, different rep, every single day. That was a lot. We spent our entire day rehearsing just to, you know, get this all together. And we were all people that we hadn't all played together either. So we needed to get used to each other's playing styles and all of that. So it was really hard work. So Work hard, play hard is definitely the vibe. Now obviously there are some downsides to it, and for me the biggest one was cabin fever is real. So like I said, the cruise I went on was basically the shortest one that you can do. Like I said, I can't remember if it was a week or 7 days, but it was in that ballpark, and that meant that we were on a very small ship in the grand scheme of cruises, and I just got really quite cooped up, so I really needed the days where we were allowed to go ashore and we had a little bit of time. And yeah, I really needed that because I found that quite difficult. And you know, you're in a little cabin, often you won't have a window, and it can just feel quite claustrophobic and quite closed off, and we didn't have very good Wi-Fi on the ship either, so it just felt really cut off from the outside world, and I just didn't enjoy that. A few people that we were working with, that's the reason that they go. They love it because they're like, bye, I'm off on a cruise ship, don't contact me, you know, and they love that. But for me, I got really homesick and I just didn't enjoy that side of working on a ship. Obviously, you can be away from home for months at a time. Some of these contracts are 6 months to 3 years long. So you can be away for a really, really long time. And that's kind of twofold. On one hand, you're going to be away from your family and your friends for a really long time, so you've got to weigh that up and say, you know, is that worth it? But also, you're going to be away from the music scene for a long time, and it can be quite tricky to go away for months to years and then come back and pick up your career maybe where you left it off, or to reintegrate yourself. I always say it, music is all about who you know, it's about your contacts, it's about networking. And if you're gone for a year, you are going to lose some of those contacts. They're going to have moved on, they're going to have different lists, and it can be tricky to reintegrate yourself. So just bear that in mind. I didn't really know what to title this kind of area, so I've just sort of called it electronic, because by that I mean electronic violins, electronic cellos, the slightly more flashy side of the events industry. This can often mean that you need to get a little bit more dressed up, it's a bit more glamorous, there's a few more lights going on, it tends to be more pop covers and all of that kind of stuff. And this side of the industry tends to cater, like I said, to these bigger events. Big weddings, big corporate events, big awards shows, all of that kind of side of stuff. So it's very much more about the performance of things. You do generally need to have some form of performance degree, again, because it is your playing, but also there's a lot of miming involved with this kind of big show, because if you're dancing around, you're not going to be able to play as well as you could if you were stood still. So a lot of the time, if there's a lot of movement involved, you will be miming. There can be a lot of international travel with this as well, because, for example, in Dubai, a lot of the weddings that take place there tend to be pretty grand events, and they're often the kind of clients that you will have as an electronic string group, for example. And there's lots of kind of all-girl bands that will go out and do that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I've never really done it, but it looks great fun. It is a different skill set because it's much more about the performance, and like I said, it's quite glamorous and you'll be a lot more dressed up, and it's a lot more about that stage presence and the putting on a show, which, like I said, for some people that's great and they absolutely love it and have a great time doing it, and for some people that's their worst nightmare and they just want to be in the section doing their thing. So yeah, it's just, that's a little bit more of your personality dependent. Obviously, you can actually go into writing the music, so being a composer, or going into arranging. And this is actually something that came up a lot on the webinar I was on yesterday. And things like arranging or becoming a copyist and all that kind of stuff. Becoming really, really skilled with software such as Sibelius, and other music writing software is available, but I actually can't think of any right now. But building up your skill in that area can be absolutely priceless, because string quartets are always needing arrangements for weddings. Bands are often needing to have an orchestration done for them if they want to expand their players and all of that sort of stuff. So this is not my area of expertise. My brother is actually a composer, and I did actually text him asking for some advice for you guys, and he didn't respond. So get over to, I'll put his Instagram, and go give him some jip. Do not do that. Just to clarify, I am joking. But in my experience, most composers will have a music degree, and it is often from a performing arts college, or it is an academic music degree. So again, do you need a degree to do this? No. Does it help? Absolutely. And bear in mind that credibility it's important. So, you know, having a degree to back you up just kind of, it gives your CV a lot more weight. But if you're somebody that you absolutely adore music and you're extremely musical, but you don't particularly enjoy the performing side of stuff, then arranging and composing can be a great avenue to go down, and really, really rewarding as well, because I just can't, like, imagine seeing something that you wrote, or hearing something that you wrote being performed by like a massive symphony orchestra. Like, that must be so cool, really, really epic. And there's a lot of orchestration work, like I said, arranging work, all that kind of thing. Getting the notes on the page, like, someone has to do that. So there is a lot of work in that field. And if you can get known as somebody who can do a quick, good, reliable job, you're gonna do well. Okay, and then last one that I've sort of put in this. Obviously, there are more. This is not a conclusive list, but yeah, these are basically the ones that I thought of. So if you have more, then always put them in the comments, let people know about them. But the last one that I'm going to do here is joining an armed forces orchestra. Now, this is something that I think has kind of come up a little bit more recently, because armed forces have always been known for their brass bands and their marching bands and all that kind of thing. But a lot are now putting more emphasis on classical music, and particularly strings and orchestras and all of that. And there are actually quite a few jobs going in this industry. And I actually looked in one. I went through quite a few stages of an application to join the Royal Air Force as one of their salon orchestra members, and it was something that I was really, really interested in initially, but then it would have involved us moving, and I wasn't really done with the freelance life, to be honest, so I didn't go all the way through with it. But it is a really good, reliable, solid work stream, and it's a permanent job. It's a salaried position, and you get to have all the perks of being part of the armed forces. So, you know, we all know, like, the pensions and the health insurance and all of that kind of stuff. It's really, really great. They really, really look after their employees, which is wonderful. So you get all of those kinds of benefits. But it is also a little bit more restrictive in terms of the rep that you'll probably be playing, and also just things like you do have to do a certain amount of military training a lot of the time for these positions. And like I said, it's the military lifestyle. You're going to be on base, you're going to be working in that environment. So that's just something which, if that sounds like a great thing to you, then great. But I know a lot of people aren't really comfortable with that. Again, I think you will probably find that you will be more successful if you have a music degree of some kind. But in all honesty, I don't know if that is one of their absolute must-have requirements, because I know they do audition. So they're gonna hear you, and if you can play, then I mean, who cares where you studied? I hope that was really useful and has maybe given you a little bit of food for thought and a little bit more of an idea of the different avenues that you can go down. Like I said, this is by no means a conclusive list of the only things that you can do if you're a musician, because you can make money doing anything, guys. Like, you really, really can. I mean, just look at what some people make YouTube videos on. There are videos of people popping bubble wrap that have hundreds of thousands of views. Why start doing that? But yes, if you have liked this video, please do give it a like, subscribe to my channel. It makes just such a huge difference when you see that, you know, little subscriber count go up or whatever it is. It really is super, super encouraging. So yes, I hope you are all doing really, really well. I won't be putting out a video next week just because I am going to be on holiday. So I'm going to be away with my husband for a week, just kind of having some chill time before Christmas, and hopefully seeing lots of family and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Stay safe, stay well, and yeah, hope you guys are all doing all right. Also, how cute are these? Look! It's got a little vampire on it. Oh. It's the little things. My new phone case has studs on it. I said, it's the small things that make you happy. You gotta hold on to them. I've been resisting Michael Bublé like all week. 1st of December, he's coming out of the box.